have a client where she's like, my video had 8 views and I had someone go straight from a view to a sale.
In B2B or even like high ticket B2C, right? We're not content creators. We're not trying to make money from AdSense.
First, you're selling the click. And what's going to sell the click is the thumbnail and the title. If it gives audience more assumptions than question marks, they're not going to click on it.
We found that we were just doing it as a chore. Like, we have to do business, we have to make content, and it was fucking awful. Like, and now we're injecting that fun.
And I've had multiple different clients that they say, the calls that I get from YouTube leads are enrollment calls more than they are sales calls.
Over 1 billion hours of video is watched on YouTube every single day. And now YouTube is the world's second largest search engine, just after Google. And it's no longer a case of, should my business be on YouTube? But how do we get on YouTube as soon as possible before it's too late? So today, to show us how to dominate YouTube and turn it into a lead generation machine, I have the master of YouTube and dear friend of mine, Marley Jaxx. Marley, welcome to the Masters of Lead Generation podcast. I'm thinking today we can give people your story selling framework to create YouTube videos that actually make money. Are you down for that?
Oh, I'm so down. And I love that intro because if you're not on YouTube, you're wrong.
You're so wrong. And we're going to tell you why. But before we get into that, I need to make sure that everyone listening understands why you are the master of YouTube. Number 1, you're an award-winning filmmaker. That's pretty special. Number 2, you're a globally recognized expert in video creation and speak on stages around the world, which is where we met in London. Yeah. You literally created a new category of video called the DocuStunt. With your own DocuStunt, I got canceled and I did it to myself. And you have 165K subs on YouTube. You generate leads and clients for your own business through YouTube, and you help others do it. Did I miss anything from your long, beautiful list of accolades?
I think you got it all. The most important one was us meeting in London at a speaking engagement together. That was definitely the highlight of my year.
Yes, highlight of my year. And then our food crawl around London to eat
gosh,
all of the food in 48 hours. And
yes.
Now for YouTube, I want to give people a bit of a taste of what they can expect, right? Because we use YouTube for our business, our agency, and it's our at the moment, it's our number 1 lead generation channel. The leads that come from YouTube are hotter than my referral leads. And I'm not saying my referral leads are shit. I'm just saying my YouTube leads are really awesome. So we'll get into a bit of that today, but I'm interested to know what results or examples have you seen for businesses when they actually implement YouTube properly?
Well, you totally nailed it by saying that the leads that come from YouTube are like in a league of their own. And I've had multiple different clients that they say, the calls that I get from YouTube leads are enrollment calls more than they are sales calls, because it's like they've spent this time with you, they've binge watched your content. By the time they come to a webinar or come to an event or get on a sales call, they're hot, they're ready to buy. They've already spent time with you in so much content. And there's that saying of like, it takes 7 hours for someone to go in their mind from acquaintance to friend. Like, we've orchestrated that through YouTube content. And the more you can make your content bingeable, they get to spend that 7 hours with you throughout different pieces of content and the different interactions on the different kinds of videos. That yes, by the time they come to you, they're ready to buy. So I have a client that I love telling this story, that he does marketing for churches, which is like a pretty interesting, like dialed in niche. There's not that many pastors all throughout America that are, in his demographic. And for the longest time he had a very small YouTube channel. When we first started working with him, he had like 100 subscribers. The month after, like the first month, he sends me a screenshot of his, like the Stripe revenue of that month, that it was like $82,000, and he had less than 200 subscribers at that point. Like, they just, because it's so dialed in, because the audience is like, his content is specifically for that audience, people will come to these videos, they would binge watch his content. For him, he had a VSL funnel. So they'd go to his funnel, they'd opt in, they'd watch a little, I think it was like 10-minute training video at the time, and then go to book a call after it. And he's like, they're basically enrollment calls. Some of them are already like, take my money. I just knew that I just want to make sure that you were a legit human. I'm ready to go. And for him, like he turned off his Facebook ads because he didn't need to run ads. Like again, the quality of lead was so much different coming from YouTube. And for years, it was funny. He tells this story of his buddies kind of like razzing him and going like, are you so pissed that you like spent so much time and money on your YouTube channel and you only have, at this point, maybe it was like 4,000 subscribers. And he's like, you have no idea what's on the back end. Like people are able to generate leads even with small channels. And I think that's a really important thing that I want to highlight is sometimes people will think, well, YouTube is going to take a long time, or it doesn't, it doesn't start getting success for me until I have like 100,000 subscribers. And it's just not true. I have a client too that I have a screenshot from her where she's like, my video had 8 views and I had someone go straight from a view to a sale. So let go of vanity metrics.
I love it. And in B2B or even like high ticket B2C, right? We're not content creators. We're not trying to make money from AdSense. Like my AdSense money is, I don't know, like $20, $100 on a video. And I just literally like, oh my God, that's not even a dinner out. It's not even cocktails for me and Marley in London. Like that's not enough to pay for anything. And the money, like even when we first started our YouTube and I was getting maybe 20, 50, 100 views on a video, they were bringing in high ticket clients. And I think a big part of it is the human brain can't differentiate like the monkey part of our brain between someone being on TV and someone being on YouTube on a computer, right? And the way that we can like build a relationship with somebody one to many is insane. And it starts to compound and it's an asset for leverage, which we'll get into. But before we get into that, why do you think more businesses don't use YouTube as a lead acquisition channel? What do you think is stopping them? What sort of misconceptions do you hear from people?
Yeah, I think part of it is, you mentioned this monkey brain that we have, that it's like we have this TikTok brain that we expect content to just be like fast and that it has to be, have, all these flashy elements to it. And a lot of people are also used to running Facebook ads where you can put $1 in and get $2 out sometimes if it works well, but it's definitely not consistent. And the moment that you stop paying for Facebook ads, the leads stop coming. And so there is a little bit more extra effort required into building a channel, figuring out the audience that you're speaking to, figuring out your content personality, that when you're on camera, it's actually coming across in a way that people are enjoying. That it's, you have to have good hooks in your content. You have to be able to hold someone's attention. And I think that because of TikTok brain and this instant gratification mindset, if it's not quick, like sometimes people just give up way too soon. And I love telling this story about Mr. Beast, who Mr. Beast has over 300 million subscribers on YouTube. And when he first started his hobby of YouTube, he was like a high school kid, like in his childhood bedroom, trying to make the best videos possible. And I love watching interviews with him where he talks a lot. Like I could make a compilation of him just going, I just want to make the best videos possible. I just like, that was his thing, is he was obsessed with the craft of making videos. And of course he had the goal of like, I want to get to 100,000 subscribers. I want to be able to grow a big channel and have a famous channel. But Mr. Beast, after 100 videos, and like, think about how much effort it takes to make, like you've probably made 100 videos at this point, like you've been committed to it. A lot of people don't make it past, like, I think the stat is like 7 videos. Like there's a graveyard of channels and podcasts that gave up after just 7. So half of the game here is just like consistency and sticking to it. Mr. Beast at 100 videos had 760 subscribers. So for someone that put in a ton of effort into making every individual video, and he has this goal of like, I want to get to 100,000 subscribers, I think a lot of people would have quit at that point. But here's Mr. Beast that like, he sticks to it. Now he has over 300 million subscribers. He's saving people in third world countries. He's helping people that, lost their eyesight. Like he's doing amazing things. But I think the thing that's so important is that you have to, same thing with business. If you're in it for the destination instead of the journey, it's not going to be sustainable. So I if anything, I want to help people to find what's the way that you create content that you enjoy? Because if you enjoy it, you're going to stick to it. It's going to be more successful. It becomes like contagious that people pay extra for obsession. Like if I'm going to go to a restaurant, I want to go to the restaurant where the chef is like absolutely obsessed that his kitchen is like his masterpiece, instead of the guy that's like working hourly and can't wait to go home and watch Netflix. I want to watch content from people that I know that they are obsessed with what they do. And so one of the things that I talk about in my content is this like motto that I created for my clients, and it's the more I play, the more I get paid. How do we make content that feels like fun? Like I get to turn on my camera and I get to say words that reach people across the world and can make me money. How freaking cool is that? I want people to see it like it's a game instead of a chore.
I love that. And a couple of things on what you just said. Number one is it took me to get my first 1,000 subscribers 586 days. I cannot
Wow.
believe I stuck at it. I'm so stubborn. But but why, right? Number one, we were already making sales. So like I was not heaps, but I was seeing signs of life. Not only do we make high ticket sales in the agency, so clients, we also, because one time when we had shiny object syndrome and made products, those products are there. So we have an offer workshop and we're now probably doing like 10, 15K off of that. Just having the link there, people buying it, right? Because it's like 99.9999999% of people who watch my stuff will never work with my agency. So going into this like enjoyment and fun element, it's like I know for me that the videos will make an impact. And I get messages all of the time where people are like, oh my gosh, I thought that like my landing page wasn't working, I was gonna have to close down my business, this totally changed it. Even when we were in London at AdCon, someone came up to me, and I don't really have much of an audience in like the UK, and he was like, I found your video on cold email and I was about to like stop. I was going to go back to a full-time 9 to 5, but I implemented what you showed, what was working for you. And I got 3 clients straight away. And like it reignited like my faith in myself, blah, blah, blah. So there's this element of, yeah, it makes you money and money's cool. But as you're saying, like do it for the fun and the enjoyment. We found that we were just going into doing it as a chore. Like we have to do business, we have to make content. And it was fucking awful. Like I hated doing it. Matt hated helping me doing all the videoing, and it wouldn't have been fun to watch. And now we're injecting that fun. So is that what you find with some people? Like they're kind of finding it a chore or something that's like on their to-do list instead of really turning it into a passion?
Totally. And that's where there's a few different, I mean, there's many different strategies. We actually created a program called the Content Game because I was like, this is fun. Like, let me just help to rephrase this in your mind that we get to do this. This is fun. And sometimes it's just what will take it from a chore to fun is just knowing the right strategies and tactics. So like we can use AI to help us come up with our hooks instead of banging our head against the wall and trying to figure out what to say. Like we have this tool where we can beep, boop, boop, and like tell us how to say things in the right way. We can show personality and be silly. You can also, like one of the things that we do with our clients is I'll do, get on Riverside or Zoom and I'll interview them and pull the content out of them, because sometimes they get too stuck in their head of like, I have to write these scripts and it's going to take me so long and I don't like writing. You don't have to do that at all. You're an expert in what you do. If I ask you a question, you don't have to go, oh, let me think about it. Let me write it down the right way. I can interview and pull it out of them. Or so can AI. Like ChatGPT can interview you and be able to pull the content out of you or help you rephrase it. And so we create games and systems and give AI tools that can make it fun. Or the other thing is I mentioned like you have to find your content personality, that the way that you and I can talk to each other on a phone call, maybe there's pieces of that has to just translate into the content instead of, sometimes people put a camera in front of them and they become a news anchor or like a meteorologist. Like they have this like very special voice and they point to things very properly. And it's like, nobody wants to watch stuff. No one wants to watch the attractive character on camera that they are rigid and robotic. Like who said that you have to turn into like something so professional, or that's what they perceive as professional? I will often mess up on my words and will like edit it into the video where we like emphasize that I messed up on my words for a laugh. And people love that. Or like people have come to expect that I'm going to have bloopers at the end of my video, which creates retention that people want to watch all the way to the end of the video. And it's like, oh, she's human. She messes up on her words too. And we leave it in there because it's fun. And if I have this expectation that I have to be a one take wonder and everything has to be perfectly said, that's not fun for me or anybody watching my content.
And it comes across, right? When I first started, we didn't have like any of the fancy equipment. It was kind of just after lockdown. I wasn't wearing any makeup for some unknown reason. The lighting's awful, the sound's awful, and I look awful, but it looks like Matt, my co-founder and partner, has a gun like off screen and he's like, record it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, like just like so uncomfortable. But it's a journey, right? Like, and then and now I've like slowly melded kind of what you're saying. Like he would put the camera in front of me and I would just go weird. Like,
right.
like, hello, I'm talking about funnels today. Like just freaking weird. And then you just slowly get more and more comfortable. And I think what stops a lot of people is they see where people are now. So they might see like your YouTube or my YouTube and they compare themselves to that level, but they're not scrolling back. Like on your YouTube, you've been doing it for years. They're not scrolling back to the first videos and looking when I was in a content cupboard, deer in the headlights, tripping over my words, recording on like Loom and just getting videos out there to get started, right? And you just get better. Like it's one of those things, like you just get better along the way. You just have to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like putting in the reps where there's like this paradox with quality and quantity. It's like, yes, I want you to create content that you're proud of, that like you would enjoy watching, that you're like, oh yeah, I had fun doing it, and people can feel that from it. But sometimes it also takes the quantity to figure out what the quality is that you like.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we've done. We did a lot of quantity and testing new things. And now we know, even like now with our hooks, we're having a lot more fun and we're changing props and we're changing location. The last one I had a meat cleaver, like swinging around, you know, through the first thing, but I didn't start there. Like it took time to figure it out, and you have to be obsessed with it. Like you have to like really commit to it, to learning. And so I want to get into those systems and strategies now so that by the time at the end of this video, people will have a pretty good idea of how to either make their first video or how to make another video on their channel. But I have a feeling most people haven't really got started consistently. So we'll start at a broader strategy level. Where do we start for overall strategy? Is it content pillars? Is that the first place to start?
Yeah, like content pillars, the way that I perceive that is like, what are the core themes that you talk about in your content, and sticking to that. That if you, okay, let's say, you know, our channel, if we're talking about marketing and we're talking about lead generation and growing a personal brand, like that's all within 6 degrees of separation of each other. But if all of a sudden we're like, oh my gosh, I learned this new makeup strategy of like how to put on eyeshadow differently, I'm going to make a YouTube video about it because people ask me how I do my makeup. Like that's not what people are subscribing for. If you want to make a makeup channel or a how to change the oil in your car channel, that's a different audience. And we have to think about your YouTube channel as if it's like your TV network. Like if I go to the Disney Channel, I know that I'm going to get Disney Channel content on there. If I go to a sports channel, I know that I'm going to get sports channel content on there. And if somehow I go to a channel and I'm expecting sports and I see hair and makeup tutorials, like, whoa, that's not what I signed up for. I'm never going to come back. I might even unsubscribe. It confuses the algorithm. So we need to keep the content for that channel on that channel. And then once we know the pillars, of course we can we're always testing. And I feel like sometimes people are like, well, just tell me what I have to do and I'll just do. There's no like smooth sailing of, okay, I'm going to talk about this and I'm going to make videos about this for the rest of forever. And it's going to be like success, smooth sailing forever. We're constantly throwing out new hooks. It's like you're fishing, you're throwing out new bait, you're seeing what works, and you double down on that. Like if you go to your channel, if you have an existing channel, and if you look at your channel and sort by most popular, that'll also give us clues of what is our audience responding to most, that we can kind of make like sequels, make the next episode of content that our audience is liking. So for example, I have a video, what is it called? It's something about like making money on social media. And that video is from like 2019 and it still gets like hundreds, sometimes thousands of views a day. And I'm like, okay, my audience wants that. Clearly, like years later, this content is still working. If I just keep creating content around that, the YouTube algorithm knows that that's the audience that's already watching this content. So if I make more of it, YouTube's like, oh, she gave us more, like more of that bait that the audience already showed that they liked. Let's put it out to that audience again. And lookalike audiences, like the beauty with YouTube is that YouTube is finding and serving up the content to your exact audience and paying you for it with AdSense. Not that, like you said before, that's not our main goal, but no other platform has the kind of longevity that, like I said, I have videos from 2019, 2016 that are still getting organic views, even though I haven't touched them or I don't put any ad spend towards them.
And I'll give like our channel example as for our pillars. To even find them, we tested a lot first, like a lot of different things. And now it's like landing pages and funnels, lead generation, and then maybe every 5 to 6 videos, it'll be behind the scenes business story stuff, right? So people can like get to know me a bit better. That's kind of like where we do. But what happened was I made a few landing page videos and then I got over it. I was like, boring. Like I don't want to talk about landing pages. Everyone's watched it. Yeah. And Matt was like, no, you need to make more on landing pages. And so anyway, now I get back into it and it's pretty much every week. And that is what makes all of our money. That's what like brings in everybody. So it's like, you'll eventually find what it is. But what you can ideally do is find like an underserved niche or like an underserved content pillar where like you have a unique spin or you have unique experience that no one's coming at. So first step is choose those content pillars. What would you say? Maybe like 3, 5? How many should we choose? Buckets, categories of videos?
Yeah, I typically start, like you said, around 3 to 5, and then just keep kind of circling around that area. And then that's when I wouldn't try to go too far from those pillars. Again, because we don't want to confuse the audience. We don't want them coming to a channel that they're like, wait, I signed up for this. Like that, YouTube will stop pushing that content out to your audience if you confuse them.
And as a quick side note, it's so important to do content with intent. For us, no matter whether it's on YouTube or LinkedIn, like it's really easy to fall into the trap of optimizing for the ego and finding something that gets a lot of views but doesn't make you any money. And then you start to use that feedback loop because it feels good that all of these people are paying attention to it. And yeah, anytime that we've tried to go broad or Alex Hormozi style, it's just flopped, right? It's found the wrong people. It's not the right thing. So really dialing in these pillars and having that content with intent, like who do you want and why and what's going to be your special sauce. Okay, content pillars, step 1. Step 2, would it be understanding the types of videos that we can create to start to drill down to make our first video?
Yeah, so when you talk about the types of videos, most of the time I'm just thinking in terms of long form and short form. I think that people should, like the art of long form, I think will get you so far in life and business. Short form content, I've heard different perspectives on this, of keeping your long form and short form on a separate channel. Again, I've heard different perspectives. I'm of the camp that we keep it separate. However, I do see benefits sometimes of like people having the short form that they can link to their long form. But typically I want to drive so much traffic to my long form, and I spend more time on long form content because that's what I feel like I get more buyers from my long form. Like you think about the intention or the perception that someone is in when they're consuming long form content, like they're typically focused on it. When people are scrolling through short form content like TikToks or shorts, whatever, they're flipping through, like they're flipping channels. They're not really spending a lot of time on one main creator. Like when I get sucked in the rabbit hole of short form content, I've watched a bajillion different things at the same time and my brain is kind of mush. But if I sit there and I find a channel that I want to like learn or be entertained, I'm in it. And I'm much more likely to like click the link below and go watch another video and binge watch, which is what's going to orchestrate that bingeability that I think creates the kind of leads that they come onto calls like eager to buy. So I really encourage people to focus on long form content. And by long form, it's like 5+ minutes. And the most common question I always get is like, how long should a video be? And my answer is as long as it's interesting. Like it can be 5 minutes, it can be 10 minutes, it can be 20 minutes. Titanic came on 2 VHS tapes. It's like, it depends on the purpose. Like how long is a string? Depends on what you need it for. So it's really more just focusing on that it's good content that's keeping people retained. That whether I have a 5, 10, or 20-minute video, are people watching 50, 60, 70, 80, 90% of it? Or are they watching 2 seconds and then they're bored and then they click off and that video doesn't reach anybody because YouTube is going to keep pushing content that shows that it's keeping people on the platform. So that's like our biggest goal is creating retention, which leads me to, I think the next most important step is your scripting and your hooks and what you're saying in your videos that's keeping people retained. And when you start to be aware of this, I think it kind of like in a good way ruins you for when you're watching TV or watching movies or watching content, because you almost have this like second part of your brain now that's observing how you observe content. So for me, when I'm watching movies, I'm constantly like critiquing, or I'm noticing what kept me interested, or I'm noticing when they have a cliffhanger or an open loop or something that planted a seed that I know is gonna be answered later. And so same thing in our content is we want to have, and like even the beginning of this interview, like you didn't start it with, hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Alicia. It's Tuesday. How are you? Oh, I'm happy, blah, 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 like personal stuff that no one cares about. You went right into a hook and spoke to the audience exactly where they're at and why they need to listen to this and how it's going to change their life by listening to this. I have this thing with my audience that we say like #StopThePop, where people will start their videos going, hey guys, just popping in real quick. And I think that it actually comes across like apologetic content. Hey, I'm so sorry to take up space. I don't mean to interrupt you. I won't be too long, but I just wanted to. It's like passive. And for me, it's very cringy, instead of like, whoa, I have something here that's going to change your life. Listen up. Like that's how I want people's content to come across. So in our content, your hooks are the most important thing. Like the first thing that you say, and also how you're teasing what's coming up in the rest of the video. It's not just the hook at the beginning and then like you ramble for the next 5-10 minutes. We're constantly planting seeds for something that's about to happen. So if you're like, hey, we did this strategy for our client that they made 6 figures in 6 minutes, but before I tell you how, I first need to tell you that the first thing that they had was blah, blah, blah. So you see how I like planted a seed? I'm like, whoa, 6 figures in 6 minutes. I don't know why I made that up, but that sounds amazing. Before I tell you how we did that, and there's like a detour. So you're like, they planted this seed. It is going to come to fruition. We're going to come back to it. Or another easy one that I like is like, hey, I'm going to tell you the 5 steps and you have to make sure that you hear the 5th one, because if you don't, the first 4 don't even matter. All right, so number 1, and then like you're teasing what's coming up, or you're previewing what's to come so that people are still watching the whole time.
And on that long and short form, and then we'll get into the packaging, I've found the same thing. And the thing is, like, I've had consultations with like people that work at the Homosies, ex-Gary V, ex-Mr. Beast, and they're all like, blah, 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 like you need to be doing short form, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I have limited resources. I have limited resources and my money comes from long form. So we have started chopping up short form, but honestly, I think I'm going to cut it and then just do long form and have our resources and our time and our energy going into the best long form humanly possible, because until we're going to be these huge Hormozy, Gary V, media-esque companies, at the moment, content with intent, my intent is to find the people who want to join the agency or who need our products. Okay, and now going into the packaging. So if we can use my channel as an example, one of my content pillars is landing pages. And now we're getting into, okay, how do we come up with an idea for like we're going to do a landing page video, right? Some of the ways, I'm sure you'll have better ways. Some of the ways that I do it is stealing or swiping from other people, but not many people do landing page content. So we use an app called, I think it's 10 for 1, and you can look at all of the channels and you can look at the outlier videos to see what are the best videos, and then I'll brainstorm the topics. The other way that we do it is all of our sales calls, I get the transcripts and put them through AI so I can see, and I train my little AI bot to tell me some ideas. But we spend, now that we understand this better, most of our time in packaging. And packaging is, what is the title, what is the thumbnail, and what is the hook? So can you walk us through maybe how to come up with the video title, and we maybe like a bit of a format for the hook that we could use as well?
Yeah, so this is probably the most important thing, because if people don't click on the video, it doesn't matter how good the video is if they're just not seeing it. You have to be, you're selling the click. And what's going to sell the click is the thumbnail and the title. And if the thumbnail and the title, the way that I like to describe it is, if it gives the audience more assumptions than question marks, they're not going to click on it. Because if you can assume what the video is already going to say, it's just noise. So I have this example that I give in a presentation where like I have 2 thumbnails and 2 titles next to each other. And on the left, there's this one that's like, how to master your money mindset. And I think I look at that and what do I think? Well, I come to assumptions. How to master your money mindset. I assume that it's going to tell me that I need to budget, that I need to spend less than I make, that maybe it's going to give me some affirmations or something. Like, I already have ideas for what it's going to say. So I'm probably not going to click on it. Then on the other side, I have one, and this video set is, I pretended every night until I made $1 million. And if you see the difference, or what's common in both of these, is they're kind of saying the same thing. Both of them dial down into something about money and having a different mindset about money, making more money, how to make more money, but they're packaged differently. How to master your money mindset. I pretended every night until I made $1 million. This one I have assumptions. This one I have way more question marks. I pretended every night. What did you pretend? You made $1 million. How did you do that? Can you show me how to do that? And is it just that easy that all I have to do is pretend and somehow I'll make $1 million? Tell me more. Basically, we want your title and your thumbnail packaged together to give people this lean in effect of tell me more. Give me that information. There's nowhere else that I can go to learn this. I have to be able to click on this video right now. We wanted to give them like an urgency. And this is another thing that you will start to observe, how you observe content. Like if you look at a thumbnail, why does it make you want to click on it, or why not? Is it because if you don't click on it, is it because there's assumptions around what it's going to say, and our time is valuable and there's so many other videos and hooks and content that's competing for our attention, even if it's like a cute little cat kind of video, something that is going to grab our attention more than a simple how to things that we've heard a bajillion times. So for me, something that I like to do is I will look at examples of other people's content that clearly is working. I'll go to creators that are very popular. You mentioned the Hormozis, maybe someone like Mr. Beast or Dan Martell, or like any of these big names in our space. And I will look at the content that's working well for them. And I'll even make like a section in the notes on my computer or on my phone, and I will copy and paste titles that caught my attention. And using AI, or even just like looking at the title, how can I take that title and adjust it to my niche? Like I pretended every night until I made $1 million. You know, what if there's someone that's doing something about, I don't know, auto mechanics. I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head. Like I could go to ChatGPT and go, here's some titles that I like. I teach people how to grow their mechanics business. Can you change these titles for the audience that I'm speaking to, and have it just like change those up? Another thing that I like to do is when I'm writing scripts or ideating, packaging, I'll also ask AI to give it to me in a way that is polarizing, disruptive, and non-obvious. Like those are always the 3 words that I use: polarizing, disruptive, non-obvious. Because again, if it's something that's obvious and predictable, people don't need to click on it, especially when there's so many other things out there that's competing for our attention. Disruptive, polarizing, non-obvious.
I love that. Polarizing, disruptive, non-obvious. And it's so true, right? Because once you start to make content, you can never go back. You start looking at everything and judging everything. But if you feel like you can answer the question that the title or the video creates, you don't click on it. So you need to like open that loop or create that intrigue. So, okay, we've got content pillar, landing page. You've shown us how we can go and find our first video concept. Like go to my YouTube, go to Marley's YouTube, and then you can literally click on popular and look at the top ones. And then you can brainstorm for your own, your own niche or your own industry, how to make them work for you. For the thumbnail, I just basically suggest getting an expert to do it. I used to make them on Canva. It was a pain in the ass. And investing in a good person who knows how to make thumbnails is really, really worth it. Okay, that's what we've got. We've got our first title. For the hook, something really basic that has worked for me is literally what Alex Hormozi says is it's like proof, promise, path. So it's like I've made over 600 landing pages in over 120 niches. Proof. Today, I'm going to show you my exact 4 steps to go from a landing page that's getting crappy, unqualified leads and converting at 0% to exactly this, like my client who's now getting 10% conversion rates and 60 awesome leads a day. That's proof. Proof, promise, that's like the promise, and then that's like I think the path as well, all rolled into one. But using that has been something that's helped me. Do you have anything on hooks that you want to add before we move on?
I love everything that you said. And what I would also add to that is having a visual hook sometimes. So you speaking to camera and maybe you have some screenshots or pictures or text next to you is great. But also having, maybe you're like physically doing, so you mentioned having like a meat cleaver in a video, like something that's also disruptive to the eye. Like even if it was on mute, which sometimes that happens, people are scrolling through and they don't have the audio on. Is there something visual that's going to grab their attention? I remember seeing a video once, again from Hormozi, where I think it was it was a video of like the mistakes that he made to lose $100 million or something. And the video starts with like flames and a whole bunch of paper shredders that are shredding the mistakes that he made. And it's like, in 3 seconds, there's so much stimulation with him saying, like you said, the proof, promise, path, and then also the fire and the shredders, like the other noise and the physical shredders around him that are capturing our attention. So if you can think of what are the ways that we're creating retention in the seeds that we planted that we've promised we're about to tell them, or the retention of what's happening. Like I think that's another reason why unboxing videos or makeup videos, like there's these videos where people are like telling true crime stories while putting on makeup, and I'm like, there's 2 retention strategies here. One is we're hearing a story that we have to figure out who did it, like whatever this true crime thing is, and also what is the before and after picture of this girl's face gonna look like. So it's interesting to think of the different retention strategies that we can create visually or physically, or the before and after that's going to be created, like cooking videos, makeup videos, unboxing videos, like what's coming to fruition while they're also being led down some kind of a path.
And I can imagine like people listening to this and it's some tax advisor and they're like, man, I don't want to have to do makeup while I'm talking about tax advice on
Can you
YouTube.
imagine? That'd be interesting.
And like it would be interesting. And it's like, I do think that there's levels to the game, right? And I think that the first thing is just get started. And exactly what you said at the start of this, make it the most valuable video. If you can, like, that's what I cracked first. And I knew my videos were good because the 20 to 50 people who actually watched them were like, holy shit, I learned so much. So I was like, okay, the value's there. Now, how do I get more people to actually click and watch? That's the packaging. So then I started to learn more about the thumbnail, the title, the hook. Okay, cool, I've got that. Now, how do I actually get people to watch more, right? Because I was having too many people drop off. So now we started to test more things in our hook, to open more loops, to do all these intrigue things. But I think it's like levels to the game. Just make freaking YouTube videos and copy other people's titles for now. Like that's how you get started. That's okay. So we've done content pillars. We've done categories of videos. You spoke about long and short form. The addition that I would add to that is the way that we think about types of videos is like face to camera, slides, Google Doc. Like, it doesn't have to be crazy. Sometimes I'm just showing internal documents and talking about them, and they're our best videos, right? So you can, in like the B2B, high ticket B2C, definitely do that. But now there's like scripting of the video. And this is where I want to talk a bit more, I think, about your story selling framework, that Elsa framework, right? Because this is kind of the meat of it. But it doesn't even matter until you got that other stuff down pat. So now let's talk about how to actually write out this first script.
Love it. So I came up with this story selling framework, and I named it Elsa because the letters just worked out in that way for an acronym. And it was like, oh, they'll never let this go. And so it's become very memorable. And at speaking engagements, I usually Photoshop my face onto Elsa's body, and then people love it. And again, it's memorable. And then it was funny. I was like, oh, Elsa also makes the word sail, but Elsa is now more memorable. So we're going with that. So Elsa breaks down into epiphany, lesson, story, application. And so before I create any piece of content, whether it's a video, even if it's a speaking engagement, or if I'm, speaking live on a webinar or anything like that, the first thing that I'm doing is figuring out what is the epiphany that I want my audience to have. And you could think about this from like movies too. Like when Steven Spielberg makes a movie, how does he want his audience to feel? Like, what are the takeaways? How are they forever changed? Whether it's like, just a heartwarming story, or made them laugh, or they had a belief that has completely changed because of this piece of content. I want my videos to change people's belief and help them to make more money in their business and to be a better person for it, and that they've had their own like personal development experience through this content, that it wasn't just this tactical like, hey, do this thing and now this will happen. Like, yes, it can be transactional, but the kind of content that's going to move people is the content that there is an emotion attached to it, or there's like a shift of belief like that. Our job as marketers is for our stories to be better than our audience's stories, meaning like the stories that are holding them back in their head, limiting beliefs. So we first reverse engineer, what is the epiphany? If they first, before watching this video, believe this, and now after watching this video, they believe this, I have done my job. Once we have that epiphany, how do we do that? Well, then we go into the L in Elsa is the lesson. What are the steps? Like, is it just step 1, step 2, step 3, and ta-da? But if we just have that, that's what brings us to the transactional. And if we just have the tactical step 1, step 2, step 3, I kind of describe it like being the Charlie Brown teacher, like wah, wah, wah. If there's too much tactical, but not enough like story, substance, feeling, that's what makes it memorable. Which brings us into the S in Elsa for story, is that's how we like really ingrain these memories. And when we think about, us growing up as kids, or I have 3 girls, I don't tell them bedtime facts, I tell them bedtime stories, because it's like you feel the emotions, because I think about my favorite movies, and the reason why we cheer so loud at the end when the protagonist wins is because we were with them at rock bottom. We felt what it was like when they were losing the race, or when they didn't get the job, or they didn't get the girl, and it was like devastating. But then at the end, when they do, it's like, we did it together. So we want to create that kind of experience in our content as well. And that people don't take action until they feel something. So I could tell you all day, here's how this person made 6 figures in 6 minutes. But if I don't tell you like how they learned it, how they earned it, what it meant for them, and what it can mean for you, it could just be tactics. Like, we need them to have the belief. So then we go into the story, and it's funny when I think about, like, I have like a chart when I put this together, like the epiphany, the lesson, the story, application. Sometimes I have the story, like I have a story inventory, just a Google Doc with like stories or ideas, or things that just happen even in day-to-day life. Like, oh, I overheard this cashier at the grocery store say this thing, and I'm like, oh, that'd be a great story for a piece of content someday. And I'll put it in my inventory, but I might not know what the lesson leads into yet, or vice versa. Sometimes I might have the lesson and go, what's in my story inventory that I can use to relate this? But the thing is, like, those stories are really everywhere. I had a story in my story inventory for the longest time, and I was like, I wonder where I'm going to use this. And I finally found it. There was this one day that my daughters, like, playing in my room while I'm getting ready, which I feel like is a rite of passage. The girls just like, every girl has a memory of like playing in their mom's stuff while mom is getting ready. There's like this bonding that happens. And my daughter is on my bed and she's like hugging my pillow. And she says, "Is this what Canada smells like?" Because I'm Canadian. I've not been to Canada in a few years, but it was just this like really funny, sweet moment. And her, I don't know, 6-year-old brain thinks like mom's pillow must smell like Canada. And I just thought it was such a funny little moment. And I put it in my story inventory and I'm like, I need to use this story somewhere. And there was one day where I was like trying to explain the story inventory. I wanted to create a piece of content around it. And I was like, here's my chance. And so I used that story as an example to then say, our stories are everywhere. And when you start to look for them, like they become your content, just like I did right now. And at my upcoming event that's happening in June, I'm going to teach you how to create your story inventory and how to create content with calls to action from it. You can click the link below and get your ticket and join us there. And like that worked. Our event was actually in January and I'm doing it again in June, but like I used the exact story of is this what Canada smells like? Put a call to action to it. And my audience remembers that. Like when I talk about, they're like, oh, is this what Canada smells like? That was so funny. Like from the mouths of babes. So that became a story that my audience remembered and somehow was able to turn into a call to action. But it's again, like, I think when people hear things like that, they think of their own similar experiences or funny things that their kids said, or they start to think of what are things that just happen in my day-to-day life that I can turn into content. Okay, so there's the example epiphany lesson story, and then A is application. Like what is the next step? Typically it is the call to action, or it's go to the next video, or asking a question that brings engagement, or it's those 2-step posts where we say, hey, comment money below and I'll send you this blah, blah, blah. So that's it. Epiphany lesson story application. And when I can create any piece of content with that frame in mind, I've like checked all the boxes and made sure that I have every piece to a piece of content that will sell.
Amazing. No. And when we have the video scripting, we have the hook. So we've said we can use the proof, promise, path. Then we'll get into the meat, and maybe that'll be the 4 steps. With the Elsa framework, should I be using that on each step? Like, is that a way to think about it? Or is it more of a way to think about my whole video? Like each lesson, like each of these 4, should I try and open, okay, so step 1, before I get into that, I want to tell you a quick story, blah, 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 blah. And this is what it is. And this is the lesson. And this is like the next step. Is that how we should use the Elsa framework?
Well, I love that you like took it a step deeper, because we can look at Elsa for like the whole kind of overarching of the video, that there's like an Elsa for one video, but also often in our content, we have like, typically we have like 3 points or something in each each lesson or whatever we're teaching. But we totally want to have an epiphany lesson and a story for each point. So if you're teaching, how to build a landing page and there's 3 different points to it, and maybe it's like, okay, you need to have the design, you need to have a hook, you need to have a call to action. Each of those should have some kind of a story to it, because it creates proof, or similar to what you said, the Hormozy thing of like the proof, the path. I can't remember what you said now.
Proof, path, promise.
There we go. Yeah. We need to give examples and stories for everything, because if we're just tactical in the whole video, but we just have one story, we still might lose them in the belief for each point that they need to be able to drive home.
And when I first started doing videos, because I feel like I'm a good before and after on videos, and like everything that you can do wrong and every misconception you can have, been there, done that. And now I'm on my hero's journey of, I call it making YouTube my bitch. Like that's where I'm at the moment. And it's like kind of finally working. But when I did first start, I was very tactical, and it basically was like a textbook. It would not have been fun to watch. It would have been actionable. It would have been like, yes, you got value out of it, but it's not that edutainment. And I think that's what like we try and aim for, like that education and entertainment mushed together. I don't go too entertainment, because I'm not Mr. Beast. Like, I've got 10 finance companies with their hands on a lead, and the one that has their hand on the longest is going to win. Like, I'm not there yet. That is a hook that I really want to do. But it's
One
like,
day.
one day when I've got a larger production budget than $0. But it's, we spend all of our money on the thumbnail designers. If, like when you're making that, and in my head, I was like, oh, no one cares about that. No one wants to know about the stories. But they do, right? Because our brains are wired that way. Since we were sitting around campfires, telling stories together, trying to explain things all the way up to now, like that is how people remember things. And you're actually doing a disservice if you do not have stories in there, because that is how people will remember what you're trying to teach them better.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And it's, Russell Brunson told this story once of like him speaking at some event, and he's like giving them all the gold of like, this is going to help you grow your business, and here's these things. And this was early on in his career, and he's an incredible presenter now, but this is how he learned this, is these people are kind of like in the room and they're just whatever listening, but they're not really as excited as he is. That he's like, this helped me grow my business so much, and can do it for you. And he kind of has this like breakdown moment where he's like, guys, you don't realize like what I had to go through to learn this. I was like, the IRS was after me, and I had to make this money so fast or else I was going to go to jail. And then this is what worked. And like, then people started to listen because they understood how he learned it, how he earned it, and why it was so important to him. And it was that urgency that made it work. And like, if they're ever in an urgent situation, this is what could work for them. So it was like, that was also the lesson. That was the story that taught us why your stories matter so much. Because if you just give the tactics, it's like, yeah, sure, Charlie Brown teacher, mwah. But here's his story that he's like, I almost went to jail before I learned this. Which then, again, makes people care more because they're like, oh, wow, drama. The raised stakes.
And a really easy way to do this for us, like, we just make our North Star metric case studies. So clients, we get approved case studies, and then I start showing them and the stories and how we did it. Like, this client came to us, they'd already spent $100,000 with another agency and only got one lead. We've come in now and like their ROI is this, and I'm going to show you exactly how we did it for them. So for me, it's like that power of demonstration and that story element. And it's like the cheat code. It's like, team, go get me some case studies, and I'm going to teach about it on our YouTube. Okay, I have to let you go in a couple of minutes, but I want to ask you a couple of quick fire questions because I think these are really important and will hold people back. I don't know if they'll be quick. We'll see. Number one, what about negative comments, Marley? What if people don't like my stuff? Tell me more. Should I care?
Yes, you should cry. No, never. Like, I actually think that the negative comments, and I totally, this is such a valid question, because like, who wants to bare their heart and soul and do things that people rarely do and then get crapped on for it? Like, it doesn't feel good. But also, I think the attitude can change everything. I have a client right now that she is very disruptive to her industry, and as a result, she gets negative comments every single day. And something that I'm working through with her is like, how do we just respond with humor? How do we not take it personally and also see this as an indicator that you are doing the right thing? Because like Susie, whatever, down the street, who isn't impacting anyone at all, like, she's not getting any comments. The fact that you're getting negative comments, sometimes it can be like a write-off to say like, oh, it means you're doing something right. But it does. Like, if you're that disruptive that people are disagreeing with you or just being negative jerks, I think it is that you're doing something right. And we want to be disruptive in our content. And when we talk about disruption, like that, you think about like all the people throughout history who are memorable, they did something that was disruptive, meaning that there were people that agreed with it, were diehards, and then were diehards like disagreed with it. But what is the commonality there is that people were talking about it. And that's what made it bigger than what it was on its own. Like, there's no marketing in the middle. And so sometimes I'll like talk to my clients about how do you be disruptive in a way that you're saying the quiet part out loud, or you're saying the things that your industry needs to hear. And that being polarizing and disruptive is a really important part of the strategy. And sometimes my clients will go, well, I don't want to upset anyone. I don't want to be rude or anything. And I'm like, that's not the same thing, because if you again look throughout history, who are people that were disruptive? Jesus, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, like there were people that hated them, even though we look at them now as like saints. Like it is a good thing if you have people that don't like you, and the most important thing is though that you don't stop regardless. And sometimes it helps to think of who suffers if I quit. Like if I get a negative comment that means that I don't make a video for a week, like who's the person that is worse off because I let that get to me, you know?
And I know we've messaged about it before, like just laughing at the freaking awful shit things that people say. Just laugh. I don't care. I actually get worried when I'm not getting hate mail or people negatively commenting on my stuff, because it means I haven't pushed the envelope. I haven't been polarizing enough. It means that I haven't evoked any emotions. I can't think of anything worse than everybody going, oh yeah, she's all right. Like, yeah, she's good. Like a bunch of people feeling vanilla neutral about me. I want people to either be like, yes, she's amazing, she's awesome, I love her. And then everyone else being like, I can't stand her voice. I have no idea what she's saying. She has a loose grasp on the English language. Like, that's the kind of shit. It's like, I don't care, because I have a mission. I'm here to do something, and I'm here to, one, build my business and create the biggest thing that I can and see what I can achieve. But two, create impact on the world. And if you give a shit about those negative comments, you'll always play small and you'll always shrink right into that. And you just have to make a choice of, like, Tony Robbins gets people hating on him. Russell Brunson does. It doesn't stop them, right? And the people that they help are so grateful that they're in their lives. So I knew that wouldn't be a quick question. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm a bad interviewer. Someone can leave in the comments about how dumb I am about the quick fire round questions. So Marley, before we it was a good one. It's important because I think that holds people back.
It is.
Where can people find you, stalk you, see what's going on, and contact you?
Well, I'll give you my address and my phone number. Just kidding. Go to youtube.com/Marley Jaxx. Check out my videos there, or instagram.com/Marley Jaxx. And if anyone ever wants to send a DM, I'm the only one that responds. You'll never get an assistant. It's always me. So happy to connect with anyone on YouTube or Instagram.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today. I appreciate you, and I'll chat to you soon.
Thank you.